that Cain was actually the son of Satan. And then Seth was the son of God. But if you go to Genesis 4 verse 1, it actually says that Cain was given by the Lord, right? It actually says the Lord, which is by Yahweh. So I would be careful with that. But some people believe that. They believe that Seth is one line, Cain is another line.
What about Abel?
What's that? Abel. What do you mean? What about Abel?
Yeah. If came from the devil.
Sorry, Cain and Abel is what I'm talking about. They were twins. So they say that Abel was. I have Seth right here on my screen. I have Abel and then Cain. So Abel was from God, and then Cain wasn't. I don't see that. And biblically, even if you look at Genesis 4:1, go ahead and
yeah, because people believe in, and I kind of have a problem with. I don't believe that was an actual fruit of the tree of wisdom and knowledge. Okay. So there are people that they believe that this wasn't the fruit. That this was sexual interaction that Eve had with the serpent. That's when they had Cain with the seed of the devil.
Yeah, so, okay. Here's why I would say that that's not true. First off, when you see angels having sex with women, which we see in Genesis 6:4, those angels they're stuck in everlasting darkness, right? So that's what the discipline for angels having sex with women they're stuck in everlasting chains of darkness until the end, right? If Lucifer or Satan, I wouldn't even say Lucifer, which we're going to get into a little bit. I would say Satan or the devil would have had sex with Eve. Didn't it say that Adam also partook?
So their theory is they were twins, and medically it's possible for a woman to have DNAs of two fathers if she had sexual interaction with both men, quote unquote, at the same time.
And that's the Satan seed theory, which people come up with.
But you know what's interesting? So the Bible doesn't say that this is Satan or the devil.
Yeah,
it says the serpent.
Yes.
Why do we think that this is?
Well, because of Revelation 20. I'll get into it. First, I'll just tell you about this portion that we're talking about. So if you go to Genesis 4, verse 1, it says, "Now Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have acquired a man from the Lord." And this is capitalized, meaning from Yahweh. "Then she bore again, this time his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, and Cain was a tiller of the ground." So it says that I acquired a man from the Lord. Speaking of Cain. So how would you acquire a man from the Lord or from Yahweh if it came from Satan? Right?
So I told you the theory that a few people have.
Yes. This guy came on my show. That was actually, he's Jewish, and he went over that. He said some very interesting things. I was like, wow. But I did bring this up, and he's like, oh, well, he said something like, well, you don't understand because, when you read it as, when you know Hebrew, then then I'm just like, okay, he wants to act like I don't know because I don't know Hebrew. But the people that wrote the Bible, that translated it from King James, they knew Hebrew, so.
But there's something to it. If you know the original language, you might interpret or understand the writings in a different way.
Yeah, because he said Adam is, I don't want to get too much into it, but he was saying that Adam is different than Adam. And they're like, oh, but mankind means Adam. And then this, he's trying to he's switching it to where that there's two men and not just Adam created. But one man was...
God created male and female.
Yes.
But only in Genesis 2, he created Adam.
Yeah. So that's something they would use.
Other people.
Yeah. And then how did Cain go to the land of Nod, where there was people already
right. Who were those?
There's a lot of thought to it, and there's different thought processes on that. And I'm not going to tell you that I 100% can answer all those questions, but I did study it, and I do study it, and it is interesting because even when the way it transforms from 2 to 3, where it's talking about that God created male and female, it could make you think that maybe he created male and female, and that Adam was just in the garden. That's just two separate creations, but I don't know. It's a tough one. It's hard to explain.
Some people say that Adam is a position, like an employee. He was the guardian of the garden because his mission was to name the animals, right?
Yeah, but what I would say is the sin that happened is what brought death, right? So those people, were they living forever on earth, the ones that he did create, and then they weren't dying until Adam and had
So
the Adam and Eve thing happen, you know? So that's why I would think it makes sense that Adam was with the first creation, right? And then Eve, and then that happened, and then, you know, obviously they had kids, and we don't know the amount of time even between Adam and Eve having Seth. Like, we don't know the amount of time, but they lived 935 years, so they could be having other children, right? And I don't know.
And Adam in Hebrew means clay. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what
Soil.
we're made from too. So yeah, I don't want to tell you yes or no to that until I look it up. But let's see.
Because in Genesis 1, he created male and female according to their own image, the God image. Then he created Adam, which translates as, I want to say, soil or even clay. So it feels like these are two different creatures.
It's very interesting. Thus the heaven. Let me see. I'm trying to.
Let me ask ChatGPT. Adam in Hebrew meaning.
That's probably easy. You'll be quicker. I'm looking it up on Bible. Okay, and Adam, mankind, man, human being. Adam, first man, is what it says. Mankind
From the ground.
intended sense. But maybe, yeah. So this is the Adam I'm looking at in Genesis 4. But the Genesis account, maybe there's a. Let's see. No, the serpent was more. Nope. I want to try to find the creation of men and women. Anyways, yeah. Does it say that on ChatGPT?
Yeah, it says, yes, it says.
From the ground?
The word Adam literally means human being or mankind.
Okay.
Then the second meaning is from the ground.
Okay.
And the third meaning is red or reddish. Okay, but then the question remains, Eden was on earth? Was it?
That's a good question, because
We
it
don't
says
know.
that there's an angel that's blocking it right
Yeah,
now with the sword.
right now.
So I mean, where's it at? Now Eden could be now located above the firmament, right? And then what happens is in Revelation, the firmament collapses, right? We have no revelation or no firmament anymore, and then the 1,500 by 1,500 mile new heaven and new earth basically comes down, you know, in Revelation. So that could be Eden. It could be above the firmament. God's throne is above that. I don't know. It's a very interesting concept, but some people would say, no, Eden was on earth, but it doesn't specifically say that. So I couldn't give you.
It doesn't say that.
I can't give you like a for sure, like, hey, this is chapter and verse of where it says that. I don't know. But, and I don't like to do that and just be like, hey, and the thing about you, okay, you asked me the question. Let me see if I have anything else on the Nephilim before we move forward. We had Raphaim. Okay, Raphaim is what I talked about earlier. Rapha means heal quickly, right? So that's interesting. So I think that's why David cut off Goliath's head. We talked about that. Raphaim also means tribe of giants. So if you guys see Raphaim in the Bible, it means tribe of giants. Okay, so if you're reading through and you see Raphaim, that's what it means. And there's an interesting portion about Nephilim before we go in 2 Samuel 21, verse 20 through 21. And this one is, it says that yet again, there was a war at Gath. There was a man of great stature who had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in number. And he was also born to the giant. So, okay, so the reason why this is important is because even the Native American Indian tribes, what they used to do, they would say how, right? So they'd have you raise your hand and say how.
Yeah.
So what they'd said is that they were counting how many fingers they had. Because the giants that came in their land, because they also have giants in their story, had 6 fingers and 6 toes. I think that's interesting because even here in 2 Samuel 21, it talks about this giant specifically having 6 fingers and 6 toes. And the Native Americans would say that they were red-haired, right? Esau has red hair. I'm not saying that Esau was a giant, but I thought that was kind of interesting. But it's interesting that they say that. They say that 6 fingers and 6 toes is what the giants had. And then right here in 2 Samuel 21, it confirms that this giant had 6 fingers and 6 toes. Does every giant have that? I don't know. But this specific one of great stature mentioned in 2 Samuel 20, verse 20 through 21 says that this one had 6 fingers and 6 toes. Very interesting. So, all right. The nature of angels. Okay, I have that, but we already talked about it. Sodom and Gomorrah, right? We spoke about that. So we kind of went into that. Another thing before we conclude is the Committee of 300. I don't know if you know who that is, but
No.